You're listening to Well Done Michael, He's 13 podcast with your hosts Scott Newby and Tom Zanelli. And it's live!
Yeah, good new jingle there. I actually quite like that, Tom. Do you?
Yeah, mate, I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, good. Let us know what you think, listeners. So, welcome to the Well Done Michael, He's 13 podcast. My name is Scott Newby, and I'm joined as always by Tom Zanelli. And today's guest, which I'm very, very, very excited about, is none other than Matt Holland.
Frightening to watch. And he had to have his pasta cooked for 7 minutes as well, by the way. He wasn't cooked for 7 minutes. He had to go back. So the amount of times on trips away, he was in the hotel rooms with the chef, just saying, "What are we doing? Pasta, 7 minutes. Not 6, not 8, not 9, 7 minutes." So, yeah, he was good character.
But before we fire into that, Tom, obviously we're just going to have a wee chat before we go into that. We're not really a political show, I would say. We're more about football, but literally we're just recording this now after we've just watched Cumgate with Dominic Cummings.
I honestly, first of all, I think that Jason Cummings must be delighted that there's a Cummings in the news and it's not him.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking, actually, Dominic Cummings out, Jason Cummings in, new personal advisor. To be fair, he'd probably do a better job than the current people in charge, I'm sure. Just before we kind of move on to the Matt Holland interview for you guys, probably the most worrying thing I saw this week was the Huddersfield chairman, actually, obviously a Huddersfield fan. Huddersfield chairman came out and said, based on the current situation, that he wouldn't be surprised if 50 or 60 clubs in England went out of business because of the coronavirus, which is, when you think about it,
scary. I saw that as well.
That's crazy. And I think Huddersfield are a reasonable size, got a bit of money, obviously, from the Premier League, not a lot left. If a chairman of that size is probably worried, then yeah, it's a real big concern. There's a lot of teams struggling anyway with Bury. What happened with Bury, and other teams probably flying close to the wind. So it'd be really sad if that happens. Hopefully, football and the £1 billion that surrounding the football associations and the big clubs, people dip their hands in their pockets a little bit to help out the grassroots. But okay, so we'll now leave you with, an amazing chat with Matt Holland going through his greatest ever 1 to 11. Delighted to welcome today's guest, who is former professional football player, whose previous clubs include Ipswich Town, Bournemouth and Charlton Athletic, playing an incredible 575 matches, including many of these in the English Premier League. During his club career, he scored 69 goals and scored a further 5 goals at international level when representing the Republic of Ireland 49 times. Now one of the most respected football pundits in the country, today's guest is a regular on radio and TV across multiple platforms. So absolutely delighted to welcome Matt Holland as this week's guest. Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Pleasure to be on. I hope you're keeping well.
Yeah, not too bad. How's lockdown treating you?
It's been fine, absolutely fine. I've got the whole family here now, so I've got 2 boys. One who's in America doing his uni,
cool.
And I've got one who lives in London. But they're both back here. So the lad who lives in London, he's set his office up here. The other one's been doing online classes at home. But that's all finished now. So he's had his virtual graduation. So he's all sorted as well. The gardens never look so good. I'm sunburnt. I'm knackered, and I'm ready for football to come back. Apart from that, we're all good.
No, I hear you. Yeah, my house has never looked so good with all the chores that the missus gets me doing around the house at the minute.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
My house is a mess.
That doesn't surprise me.
So yeah, you'll be looking forward to football coming back. Did you kind of watch any of the Bundesliga at the weekend?
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of it. I mean, I didn't sit down and watch 90 minutes through, but I saw my son was watching the Dortmund game, so I watched a bit of that with him. Caught up with all the highlights and stuff. So yeah, look, it's not the same, is it, without the supporters? It's not. It's never going to be. But it is nice that you're able to watch some football at least now.
Brilliant, good stuff. Well, so we kind of briefly touched on your kind of career there, Matt, and obviously played for some great clubs. So what we'd really like to do is, having played so many matches at a high level for club and country, but we want to know who is the best of the best you have ever played with. So we're kind of looking for your 1 to 11. But before we get into the players' names, most importantly, have you got a formation that you're going to select?
I've gone 4-2-3-1. It's classic now. It's classic. It used to be 4-4-2. I played in an Ipswich team where we played a back three for a long time as well. But 4-2-3-1 seems to be the way forward, doesn't it? And everyone wants to be a number 10 as well. So you've got to have a number 10 in there.
Yeah, we'll just might as well start at the beginning. So, right, who have you gone for in goal?
I mean, they're all difficult picks. This one I think was not easy because I played with some great goalkeepers, Dean Kiley, Richard Wright. But Shay Given gets the nod in goal. Played with him at the Republic of Ireland, and I judge goalkeepers on how many mistakes they make. And Shay just didn't make mistakes. People say, well, he wasn't the biggest, he didn't come for crosses. Tell you what, his shot stopping was unbelievable. His communication as a goalkeeper was unbelievable. The amount of games that he won for us for Ireland on his own. We beat Iran in the playoff in both legs. He was outstanding. Against Holland, we had 10 men, 1-1-0. And honestly, it's one of the great individual goalkeeping performances you'll see. So he just stands out for me, simply because he didn't make that many mistakes. Very few indeed. And he was so consistent. Like all goalkeepers, they think they can play up front, and they all have to be able to play now as well. And he actually could play as well. So Shay Given gets the nod in goal.
Was Shay a bit mad? They always say that goalkeepers have to be a bit mad.
Yeah, I mean, he was, a little bit. I mean, not as mad as some I've come across. And actually, a lot of the goalkeepers I played with were reasonably sane, to be honest. But Shay liked to mess around a bit. He was horsing around. So he was a good character though. He fancied himself at two touch. He used to play it in the corridors away all the time, and he was actually not bad, but a few bounced off the walls and stuff.
Brilliant. No, great choice. Excellent keeper for a long, long time. Absolutely. So, brilliant stuff. So into your back four. So you want to start maybe at right back? Yeah,
right back was a tough call. I played with some really good right backs internationally again. Stephen Carr, Gary Kelly of Leeds. I've actually gone with, again, a Mr. Consistent really. I was very close to picking Dennis Irwin, but I thought it was a bit of a cheat. I only played with him once, I think, and I actually roomed with him in the game, and I might not have even played in the game. I can't remember. So he wasn't around the setup as much as I would have liked, really, because he was such a class act as a player. So I was very close to picking Dennis Irwin, but I've gone for another Mr. Consistent, Steve Finnan. Played at every level, won the Champions League with Liverpool. Very quiet, unassuming character, and was brilliant every game.
Brilliant. No, I remember when he moved to Liverpool, he was quite understated before he moved, and then he was phenomenal. And he was excellent. I think he surprised quite a few people. And he say Champions League winner in one of the best Champions League nights ever. It's not a bad thing to have.
No, that's right. And I remember him meeting up with a team after he'd won that Champions League, actually. And when he sort of came onto the training pitch, because he arrived late, obviously, because of the commitments that he'd had. He got a big round of applause off all the lads for winning the Champions League. So that was a nice moment for him, I think.
That's very cool. Did he have the medal around his neck when he?
No, he didn't. He didn't actually.
I would.
Because again, he's unassuming. I think I'd have been doing a lap of honour with it like that to the lads.
Have you seen this, Matt? Have you seen my medal?
Seen what I won last week. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it on the telly, but I'm a Champions League winner.
So so I bet that was a good moment for him, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. Brilliant. So that's on your right flank. Who have you got at left back?
Left back, again, another tricky call, actually. Paul Konchesky, Chris Powell, Herman Ryderson, Jamie Clapham, loads of good left backs. I've gone for a goal scoring left back. I think he might have scored 20 in one season. Thunderbolt with a left foot. No pace, couldn't run, but blimey, he could pass, he could finish. Ian Hart. I mean, what a player. He really was. I mean, I think his feet were probably about size 8, but he used to wear size 5 boots. His feet, honestly, ridiculous. They were all crammed into these boots. His toes were awful, horrific. I don't know why he did it even.
I think it was Carlisle. He got 20 in a season, didn't he? When he was playing.
Carlisle, maybe, yeah. I think he got 20, and then he got moved back to Reading, maybe after that.
That's right.
So
I think when he was at Carlisle as well, I think he was playing centre half a lot, wasn't he, as well? And he still banged in insane set pieces. Yeah, insane amount of goals for a defender. Brilliant.
Honestly. Free kick. He just put it. He said, "I'll just put this in that corner," and he just did it. It's just like wow, just brilliant.
Did you ever try and push him off a free kick to take it yourself?
No chance. No. You got to know your limitations. If it was a little bit further out, I mean, I could strike a ball, but not really. I didn't really have that whip over the wall particularly. So if someone touched it to the side and I hit one, that'd be okay. But if you just wanted a dead ball for him to hit, no, just leave it to him.
Brilliant. So you've got some good attacking threat down the fullback areas, lots of goals and assists. I think Finnan started off as a midfielder, didn't he? Wide midfielder. So who have you got kind of looking after the defensive duties at centre half?
So centre backs, my two centre backs, I've gone with a good partnership. I think one of the best partnerships in Premier League history was Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. So I've gone for one half because I only play with one of them. So I played with Rio at Bournemouth. I was actually at West Ham when he was coming through the ranks at West Ham, and everyone knew that the academy had a player, and Rio was his name. I remember Harry talking about him all the time. Harry Redknapp was in charge at West Ham at the time, and he used to talk about this kid that's coming through, Rio Ferdinand. He's class, he's this, he's that. And then I made my way to Bournemouth. He was coming through at West Ham, but Harry loved his young players to go out on loan and get some experience, and actually probably just go and have a little look at what it's like on the other side of the fence, really, because Premier League, you've got all the facilities, everything's perfect. Down the leagues, Bournemouth particularly, not a lot of money, totally different environment, and it makes you grow up a lot. And so he liked his players to go out, even if it was just a month, couple of months or whatever, and just get some games. Anyway, he came to Bournemouth for a couple of months. Well, he was only there a couple of months because he was so good. He had to go back to West Ham and play. He played 10 games, was man of the match in 9 of them, I think. Just coasted through it, Rolls Royce of a defender. And then you've got to have a Vidic-type character alongside him, because I think you've got to have that balance. So I've gone for Richard Dunn as the other centre-back. I think he was Player of the Year 5 years running for Man City. Now, all right, you might say, they didn't have all the money then when he was, when he was Player of the Year. They didn't have all the 30, 40, 50 million pound signings coming in through the door. Sheikh Mansour's cash being thrown left, right and centre. But it takes some doing to win Player of the Year 5 years running at a club that size. Individual performances again. I mean, some of the games that he played for Ireland, he was just a man mountain of such a rock solid centre half that I think you're looking at partnerships throughout, and I think him and Rio together will be a good pair.
It's kind of, I'm just thinking what it must be like to be a striker being up against that pairing in its heyday. If you could get past Dunn and the physical presence, then you've got Rio's pace.
You wouldn't get past Richard Dunn. That's it. I mean, you just couldn't get round him. He's so big, wasn't he? You've seen the size of him. You just couldn't get past him. If the ball went past, the player certainly didn't. Done it. How many times was he sent off as well? I think he's got the record for that as well, isn't he, in the Premier League? So nothing got past Dunny.
Was he one of these guys that was hard on the pitch and top guy off it?
Quite quiet, actually.
Really?
He's such a big man. And a man mountain as he was reasonably quiet off the pitch. Rio wasn't. Rio even at 19 when he came to, or 18 when he came to Bournemouth, he wasn't particularly quiet. He's full of really chirpy character. But again, takes all sorts, and that partnership will be good, I think.
Do you still keep in touch with Rio? He's a lad. Rio's a lad.
Obviously, see him about on the circuit. Really, when you go to games and you're working in the media, still see him, and so it's always good to catch up because there was a good group actually coming through. He wasn't the only one. There was obviously Michael Carrick, Joe Cole, who I see a bit now in the media as well. Frank Lampard. Frank's dad actually was the one that picked me up for West Ham many, many years ago, playing sort of Sunday football. Frank Lampard's dad was on the touchline and asked me to go training at West Ham. So he was the one that got me to West Ham in the first place. So yeah.
Did you ever think with Frank Lampard coming through, a bit younger than you, was anything like, he's just getting a game because his dad's involved?
No, not at all. Honestly, if you wanted to see someone train and push themselves to be the best they could possibly be, Frank Lampard was the example. He'd be 16, 17, and it'd be 3, 4 o'clock. The lads have sort of all showered, done your jobs, ready to go home. He'd be out doing sprints on the training field, and there'd be one or two sort of sniggering and laughing, going, "What's he doing?" Because he wasn't the quickest. He wasn't. His dad actually was the same. His dad used to say his dad said to me, "Buy yourself a pair of spikes because that'll improve your sprinting. It'll improve your pace." And sure enough, his son Frank had a pair of spikes, and he was doing sprints in the afternoon. So there'd be one or two looking at him, going, "What's he doing?" But who's laughing now?
Exactly. It's literally about to say that. Until the words out of my mouth. Who's laughing now? Yeah, some career Frank had.
Yeah, Well, I mean, you know, who's laughing now? They say you get out what you put in. Well, he put it in, and he deserves to get it out.
Brilliant player. I think he'll end up being a top manager as well. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. He doesn't get in my team, unfortunately, but because again, I didn't play with him. I only sort of maybe a reserve game even, but I can't really count that. So he doesn't get in my midfield. But my midfield two, I reckon you could probably guess one of them at least. Probably both, I would suggest. Roy Keane and Scott Parker.
Oh, right. Excellent.
Scott I only played with for about 6 months. The season I played with him was my first season at Charlton. We ended up finishing 7th. When he was at the club and when he left in January, I think we were 3rd or 4th. We were pushing for the Champions League places. Obviously, his head got turned. Chelsea coming in for him big money, and he spent virtually January sulking because he, you know, and didn't really play. He was upset that the club weren't considering, you know, selling him. It was a difficult one because obviously, you know, Curbs didn't want to stand in his way, but he also wanted Charlton to finish the season strongly and maybe us get into those Champions League places. And Scott would have been a big part of that. So it was a blow to lose him in January. Went on to win Player of the Year. First day training, I sort of walked in and you know, you're looking around at the quality and you're assessing it all and everything. And this lad in midfield, honestly, he's a young kid. He's smashing into people. He's making tackle after tackle. He's diving into things. Played it like it was an FA Cup final. I'm sort of looking at the lads going, seriously, what's he doing? He's going to kill someone. He's going to put someone out for 6 months. But that's how he did it. They say train as you play. Well, he literally did train as you play. I mean, some of the tackles, X-rated as well. You think he's actually going to hurt someone. Curbs did have to say occasionally, just whoa, stop. It's Friday. You know, we don't want to lose anyone for tomorrow. So he was a top player, and obviously Roy Keane. I mean, you know, probably Premier League's best central midfielder, really, and you know, captain, leader. If you ask me about Roy, about what's he good at, you know, you go, he's shooting, he's 7 out of 10. He's, you know, long range passing, 7 out of 10. He's heading, 7 out of 10. You're thinking, like, why is he so good? He always had time on the ball. I'll tell you what he was the best at. He was the best at threading those balls 15, 20 yards in behind the midfield into a striker's feet. Pace he put on passes, honestly. And he used to test you as well. So you turn up at training, and anyone new to training and hadn't been in a camp before or whatever, first thing you'd do, Roy would get the ball and he'd smash the ball at them just to see if they could handle it. If you miscontrolled it, he'd be like, what are you doing? Get hold of the ball. And he'd smash it again. And he did it to test people. And he wanted it back. He wanted you to pass the ball back at that pace as well. You know, he said, there's no good passing it like too slow to me. He said, by the time you've passed it to me, there's going to be someone close to me. I want you to really rattle the ball in. And honestly, he read the standards that, you know, he expected of people around him. Absolutely ridiculous. He was an absolute class act on the pitch. So, yeah, Roy and Scott Parker, not a bad midfield too, I think.
No, not bad at all. Superb. With them, so Roy Keane, you played together at Ireland. Obviously, some of the stuff around 2002, pretty well documented. And what's the kind of relationship like between you and Roy? Do you bump into each other in the media circles much? Or?
I've got no idea. Honestly. I don't know is the honest answer. Haven't come across him an awful lot since we finished. You know, I just don't know. You know, he might talk to me, he might not talk to me. I honestly don't know. It's the bottom line, really. And I think he likes that. I think he likes that feeling of you know, people being not nervous around him, but being aware of him. So the honest answer is I've not got a clue.
I guess you don't lose any sleep over it either, so...
Well, listen, he's a player I enjoyed playing with, and I enjoyed his company as well. I actually enjoyed picking his brains on football, asking him things about Man United, how they did things, because you're always looking to improve and learn and how you might do things differently. And obviously, Man United were the benchmark Premier League football. They were the team that was winning every week, and he was the captain of that as well. So I used to ask him all the time. He probably got fed up with me. He probably won't talk to me now because he probably fed up with me asking all these questions. But I used to, you know, what do you do in training? Do you take supplements? Do you do yoga? All those little things? You know, what is it that makes you different to any other club? But he was engaging company. I mean, he could be really engaging company. So yeah, I'm just thinking I've got a lot of red cards in my team. I'm looking at that, thinking I might could end up here already with about 5 men. I could be 10 minutes in, we could be having three men sent off. Right, so my three now in behind the striker. On the right, I've gone for Kieran Dyer. Number 10, Paolo Di Canio.
Oh.
And on the left-hand side, Damien Duff. Dyer, Di Canio, Duff. Kieran I played with at Ipswich. One of the most naturally talented footballers you'll see. He could take the ball in tight areas, pace. He could run long distance. He was quick. Was exciting to watch, exciting to play with. I always joke and laugh at him. He didn't score it because he didn't score enough goals. For a player of his ability, he didn't at the back of the net enough. He wasn't a great finisher. And he'd be the first to hold his hands up to that as well. He's actually one of those that holds his hands up to saying he never got the most out of his career either. I remember him, it might be in his book actually, Graham Souness said to him one day, do you think you'll be able to finish your career, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I got absolutely everything out of my career? He said, are you one of those players? And Kieran said in his book, he said, I look back now and think, no, I didn't get everything out of my career because of the talent he had. He should have been playing for England 100 times. I think he actually played a lot more than people think. I think he got nearly 40 caps for England, which is, obviously very good. But he should have got 100 caps. He was that talented. Didn't score enough goals, as I say, but he was a really good player. Talking of characters, Paolo at number 10. He was one of the best, really. I always say he was one of the biggest inspirations, I think, for young players. He was, when he signed for Charlton, I'm thinking he was 34, 35. And you're thinking maybe if we've seen the best of him, is he going to come to us and he's not going to be quite there? Well, he was the first in the training ground. He was the last one to leave. First on the training pitch, last one off the training pitch, back in the gym. Don't get me wrong, he had his moments. He was mad as a hatter, wanted to fight the world, didn't like it if he didn't get a decision in a five-a-side, walked off the pitch on numerous occasions because of it. Roused with the management, roused with players because they kicked him in training or whatever it might be. Some of the things that he did in training, he just left you open-mouthed. He just did the impossible. Even if it was a simple 10-yard finish, he'd try a difficult finish. He would do something. He's one of his goals for West Ham, Trevor Sinclair cross, the volley against Wimbledon. One of the best Premier League goals you'll see. Did that every day in training. Things like that he did every day. Honestly, it was ridiculous. You just stand there and everyone that's brilliant, Paolo. Brilliant. It was so good. But he was a brilliant, great attitude as well. Effervescent character, bubbly character, and great to have at the training grounds. A shame it was only a year. I think he'd agreed a new deal, but then Lazio came in for him, and I think they tore his contract up, Charlton, and let him go back to Italy, which was a real shame. I'd like to have had another year with him because he was a brilliant, brilliant character.
Matt, would you say he's technically the most gifted player you've ever played with?
Some of the things he did, honestly, probably, yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous, just honestly ridiculous. Some of the things he did, he just made it look easy as well. And as I say, some of the finishes, back heels and all sorts he used to do in training. It was just, frightening to watch. And he had to have his pasta cooked for 7 minutes as well, by the way. It wasn't cooked for 7 minutes. He had to go back. So the amount of times on trips away, he was in the hotel rooms with the chef, just saying, "What are you doing? Pasta, 7 minutes. Not 6, not 8, not 9, 7 minutes." So, yeah, he was good character. On the left, another naturally talented guy, Damien Duff. You couldn't get the ball off him. Honestly, in training, you think you've made a tackle, you think you've got the ball, and all of a sudden he's wriggled through about 3 challenges and he's still got the ball. I don't know how he did it. I absolutely don't know how he did it. Never seen anyone sleep as much as him. I roomed with him in the World Cup 2002, and he slept, I reckon, 18 out of 24 hours. He had 2 and a bit hours when we were training. He had maybe a bit of breakfast, lunch and dinner. Other than that, he was in his bed. And that was it. That was his day. He was, honestly, I've never seen anyone sleep as much as him. Loved him as well. Really good character. Quite shy, actually. But now he's really come out of his shell, I think, and enjoys the coaching more and more. He's
Celtic coach, isn't he? I think he's at Celtic, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he get Republic of Ireland stuff as well now. So he's brilliant. Brilliant guy.
Good stuff. So some team at the minute. So who's the man who's putting them in the back of the net?
Exactly. You need a goal scorer. You need someone to play with a few good ones. Darren Bent was prolific goal scorer. Played with him both Ipswich and Charlton. Marcus Stewart had the season of his life. First year we got into the Premier League with Ipswich, scored 19 goals. Should have probably got an England cap as well. Both unlucky to miss out, to be honest. I've gone for Robbie Keane. I think Niall Quinn had the record for international goals for Ireland at 21. I think he's got 68. So the difference between first and second in the goal scorers list for the Republic of Ireland, 47 goals. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So sharp, in over 5-10 yards in the box, natural finisher, a natural desire to win, a goal scorer. And that, any team, I remember talking to managers and they were sort of saying, you're going to be a manager. If you're going to be a manager, you're only as good as your front two. That's what the amount of managers I was asking about, he said about assembling the team and stuff. They said, spend your money. That's why they get the big money. That's why they cost the big money. Because, you can set a team up to be defensive. You can set a team not to be beaten, and you're going to get a 0-0. But to win games, you got to score goals. And you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's why they are so valuable. And Robbie just knew where the goal was.
Yes, some amount of goals he scored. And I think it's easy to forget how many different clubs Robbie Keane played for as well. He played for a lot of big clubs. And
Did you ever go at picking my team? And how many did you get, by the way?
I definitely got your goalkeeper right. I knew you were going to go for Shea Given. I knew you were going to go for Robbie Keane as well. We thought that you might not pick Roy Keane just because he's a bit of a madman, isn't he? So, but you have to pick it. You have to pick it. Yeah, exactly. What? And I didn't even realise you played with Rio Ferdinand. So
yeah.
But yeah, what a team you've picked. Given, Finnan, Ferdinand, Dunn, Hart, Keane, Parker, Dyer, Di Canio, Duff and Keane. What a side that is, man.
Yeah, some side.
And when you mention some of the names that haven't made it as well, I mean, Klaus Jensen in midfield, Jim McGilton, who was brilliant at Ipswich with me as well. I've mentioned some of the centre-halves that I play with, Mowbray, McGreal, Venus at Ipswich. Some brilliant players. Gary Breen at Ireland was a good player. Really, who are really unlucky not to make the team as well. So it's a difficult job being a manager, isn't it, when you've got to try and pick 11.
It's a shame as well that obviously I only played against you when we played in that charity match, or I'm sure I would have made it in ahead
you'd have got
of Parker, or probably even in the 10 role, I probably would have nicked the cameo.
Yeah, you're madder than Di Canio.
He also shouts at me if his pasta's been cooked longer than 7 minutes as well. So. Brilliant side there, Matt, and obviously say so many great names that didn't get in. Just a couple of follow-up questions on if that's okay. So one thing I was really impressed with, obviously you've talked about some of the players you played with and obviously some of the great games you had. You played a lot of matches, a huge number of matches, I think over 600 matches, for club and country. What was the secret to that? Was it good luck, or was it down to your kind of commitment and lifestyle to looking after yourself?
I think there's a bit of luck. Of course there is. If you get a knock on a Saturday, if I'd had a midweek game, might not have made it. Had a week then between matches where it gave me time to recover and get myself fit for the following week. I did look after myself, lifestyle wise. I wasn't someone that was out partying and stuff and big drinker particularly. There was a desire to play every week, so I did play with injuries at times, which I think everyone does. I think it was probably more prominent when I was playing really than it is now. I think with the squad game and people being rested and left out of certain matches, and I think players are more inclined to give injuries time to heal and get themselves fully fit before they're back again. But I was someone that felt if I was out the team, someone else was in it, and if they did well, I'd find it difficult to get back into the team as well. I wanted to play. George Burley will tell you it was the seawater at Brightlingsea that kept me fit. The amount of times that I had a sort of a knock or something, he said, paddle, go on the way back home from training, you had your treatment, go and have half an hour in the sea. Sea water will make all the difference. I used to stop off at Brightlingsea, half hour paddling and get in the water for half hour, and he'd see you fit again Saturday. It's down to the water at Brightlingsea. So he'd tell you that was one of the reasons why I was fit every week as well.
No, I think you played ever present a few seasons, were you? More than one season.
I think I missed. I was at Ipswich 6 years, and I think I missed one league game.
That's incredible.
And that was because I was on international duty. I was at they played Gillingham and I was away with Ireland. So that was the only league game I missed in 6 years at Ipswich. So yeah, I wasn't too happy when he left me out at Crewe away. I think that was the first game. I think it was Crewe away, cup game. Not that I'm bitter. That was the first. I played 223 consecutive games, I think, for Ipswich, and then he left me out at Crewe in a cup game. And he took me there as well. He took me all the way up to Crewe. I would have gone anyway, but I was going on the premise that I thought I'd be at least on the bench. Even if he is going to give me a rest or whatever, at least I'll be on the bench. And I was in the stand. It was a nightmare. Absolutely gutted. I was. I don't think I said anything to him, but I was gutted. Yeah.
I've got one question before I hand you over to Tom for a final piece. It would be remiss of me not to ask you about what was it like scoring in a World Cup?
To be honest, it is really difficult to explain because you lose yourself for 10, 15 seconds, honestly. That moment, growing up as a kid, you have dreams, you have aspirations, and they are to play at the highest level, to play at the elite level. I always dreamt of winning an FA Cup and lifting a trophy at Wembley. Didn't quite make it with the FA Cup, but I did it with a playoff. So I was still able to walk the steps and pick a trophy up at Wembley. So that was brilliant. And then to play for your country and play at a World Cup, it's special. And then to score, it's like, honestly, that moment, I remember running off to the right-hand side of the goal. And then I realised that my dad was there, my wife was there, my boys were there. But they were the other side of the goal. So that's when you'll see, I've run off one way, and then it sort of clicks, the family are over there. So I run around the back of the goal. I think Robbie Keane's on my shoulders and I'm trying to throw him off, and I'm just trying to go to my dad and my wife and kids and see them. And it's not until you get back and the whistle blows again. Hang on a minute, it's a game on here. It's 1-1. We've got to try and win this game now as well. But that period between the ball hitting the net and getting back to the restart, it's just a bit of a mad time. I can't explain that feeling. It's the greatest. I mean, individually, it's the best moment I've ever had on the football field. That's
amazing. I've got goosebumps just listening to you talking about it. So I can't imagine what it must have been like at that moment in front of your family. It must have been.
It was a great strike as well. Great strike.
It was a decent hit, and the physio Mick Byrne, he got me the match ball afterwards as well. So I've got. Well, I say the match ball. I think we were playing multi-ball, but I've got a match ball. I tell the story. It is the ball that I scored with.
Yeah.
I've got the ball here as well. So it's why you play football for. It's why that moment is why, as a kid, my dad took me here, there, and everywhere. It's why I practiced as hard as I did. It's why the sacrifices you make as a player and as a family for those moments. They're the moments you play the game for.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you, Matt. That's brilliant. And I'm just going to hand you over to Tom. I think Tom's got a couple of final things just to wrap up, and then we'll let you escape.
No problem.
So just going to apologise for this, Matt, before we get going. So as you know, we like to play a little game with our guests, as we do each week. And this week's game is called Does Holland Know Holland?
Oh, God. Probably not. It's not far from me. I'm in East Anglia. I should know it. It's not that far.
We'll see how well you know it. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds on the clock, and you have to answer as many questions correctly as possible. So you ready, mate?
Yeah, go for it.
How many times have the Dutch national side won the World Cup?
None.
Correct. Before the league stood still, who were top of the Eredivisie?
Ajax.
Correct. How many teams are in the league?
20.
18. Alan Pardew recently left which Dutch club by mutual consent?
Den Haag.
Yep, correct. What is the name of the PSV Eindhoven Stadium?
Oh. Pass.
Philips Stadium. Who is the most capped Dutch international?
Most capped Dutch international? Van Bronckhorst.
No, it's Wesley Sneijder. And to the nearest 10, how many caps has he had?
104.
Oh, he had 134, so 130 would have accepted. In Euro 96, England beat Holland 4-1. Who scored Holland's consolation goal that day?
No idea.
Patrick Kluivert. In 2001, Republic of Ireland beat Holland in a World Cup qualifier. You played 90 minutes, Matt. Who scored the winner?
In 2000, McAteer.
Yep. Who was nicknamed the non-flying Dutchman?
The non-flying Dutchman? Did I play with him?
No.
Pass.
Dennis Bergkamp. He'd fly, don't he? He'd fly.
That's the worst.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout. Should have got that. I was thinking wingers.
And I think that proves that Matt does know Holland fairly well.
Ish.
Yeah, fairly well. Amazing. Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks for that, mate. Appreciate that.
No problem at all. Good to speak to you.
You too, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. And superb interview. I love the 1 to 11. You got that some team, and yeah, just massively appreciate your time, and best wishes to you and your family for the rest of lockdown and beyond.
No, I appreciate it. Same to you as well. Keep safe and well. Thanks for having me on.
Take
Magic.
care, mate.
Nice one. Thanks, Matt.
Bye, Matt.
Cheers,
See you later.
mate.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Cheers.
mate.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Let's take a minute there just to think about what it must be like to score in a World Cup. Can you even imagine that? Just incredible, and such a lovely guy. Must be one of the nicest guys in football, I think. Top guy. Really enjoyed chatting with him.
And what a side he had as well. What a 1 to 11 he picked. And some of the players who didn't even make it in. He's played with some absolute Premier League legends, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Great side. I still think Marcus Stewart should have been in his starting 11, but that's more of a personal favourite. But yeah, I mean, it's what 11 that is. Not only a good team, hard as nails as well. You forget how many good players Matt's played with. So yeah, no, absolute pleasure. And thanks again to Matt for coming on. I really enjoyed that, and hope you guys did as well. We will have more amazing guests coming up as well in future episodes, which we're really excited about. So we've been thinking about new features that we can bring to the podcast alongside some of the excellent kind of guests we're going to have on the show and continue to have. And one thing we've come up with is a feature called, wait for it,
Game changer.
Game changer. Game changer. Double meaning, very, very clever. This kind of came out of a conversation actually I was having with my wife a few weeks ago, and missing football during lockdown. And I was trying to explain to my better half that it's not just football, as in missing watching games on the TV or, that kind of thing. Football for me is life. It's been part of my life. And actually, like a lot of people, had our ups and downs and traumatic events through life. And actually, the one thing that was consistently there throughout it was football. Yeah, it might be a little bit dramatic to have said, football saved my life, but football certainly changed my life and has been a friend at times when things have been tough, and also something that you've celebrated with family and friends as well at other times. So that's what it's all about. So that's why we're called Game Changer. And this will be a sort of regular feature that we'll bring up. And it's going to be about games that either myself or Tom or one of our guests even over time, or a bit more than that, around a game that we went to that has kind of left a mark on us at the time. So to start off with, makes sense, I think, to start off with the very first game I went to. I was looking into this the other day then. I think I was a little bit older than I actually thought I was. So I think it was a bank holiday, and it was in 1990, I think. It was Easter Monday. So I was 8 years old. And I remember two of my uncle's mate, were going to the Huddersfield game away at Bury, Gig Lane.
Rest in peace.
I know, kind of apt. I was quite sad when Bury went out of business, because that was the first ever live game I went to was at Bury. But they beat us 2-1 on the day, so fuck them. No, so it was. I'm only joking, Bury fans. I was really sad actually when that happened. So yeah, 8-9-year-old in the car. I remember just being so excited. It was a 2-hour drive. Remember when you were like 8 years old? A 2-hour drive felt like it was about 10 hours. Like it felt like it was a massive journey. Car was small, 5 of us crammed in. Me and my brother, older brother, not Tom, who's 5 years older than me, and he'd been to a couple of games I think before that. Got to Gig Lane, and I remember it clear as day. We were in behind the goal, stands, terracing was all standing behind the goal, and it was full. We were all crammed in like sardines. Shitty weather. I just remember it. I remember there was a bar right at the front where your kind of young fans were right up against the mesh, like the wire fencing, and it curves over, so you can't get onto the pitch. And I remember it, and I'd say, 8 years old or something, and me and my older brother Lee, we were stood at the front. And I remember, we lost 2-1, a horrific game of football, shit standard. I fell in love with it. It was the most beautiful day of my life. I just remember thinking, this is amazing. This is what I want in my life.
The fact is, your first game was away from home. That's why you fell in love with it as well. Because sometimes at home you don't always get singing and as much raw passion. I always say, I think everyone will agree, away games are next level amazing. Like if I was a professional footballer, I wouldn't want to play in front of my home fans. I want to go where the away fans are, because just to wind up the home fans, the opposition, and also your away fans that are with you or are your.
So you wouldn't play the home games?
I play the home games, but I'm all about playing away from home, just to wind up the opposition and to get right in amongst those.
Who are you, Carlos Tevez? Play when you want.
No, if I've got to play the home games, I'll play the home games. But
do you know what? I can remember who scored the winner that day as well. So it was Roger Stanislaus. And I remember it because not long after that, I think he was the first professional football player in England to get banned for taking recreational drugs. Pretty sure that's the case. Might have made it up, but I'm pretty sure.
If you have made it up, we apologise to Roger.
No, I'm pretty certain. Yeah, we can always these days we can check it out. But I always remember David Lee on the wing, who went on to play for Bolton and had a good career there. Just tore us a new one all day. I remember thinking, who's this guy? Like at the time, I thought he was like the equivalent of probably a Lionel Messi. I thought I'd seen it all. I was like, I'm never going to see a better player ever than this David Lee guy play for Bury. He is unbelievable. And then obviously, like, you'd be match day, you'd stick John Barnes would be playing down the wing for Liverpool or whatever. But just great memories. What about you, Tom? What was your first ever game?
My first ever game was in 1997, so I would have been 7. It was Huddersfield at home at would have been the McAlpine Stadium, it would have been known as then.
Oh, yeah.
Against Barnsley. That was my first ever game. And Huddersfield's defender, Tom Cowan, he also played for Rangers, hit his own crossbar. And that was probably the highlight of the game. It was, again, like you, a terrible match, 0-0. But again, one thing I used to always love, it's a cliche in football, and I remember we used to walk up the stairs with my older brother Lee, just before you walk out and see the pitch. You just walk up the steps.
Yeah.
And that was my favourite thing as a kid, and I still always get goosebumps now, even just remembering walking up the stairs. Kind of enjoy like the players warming up, and so this wasn't massive atmosphere then, but just going in and just seeing seeing the stadium, seeing the pitch, just like wow. It's the same. As soon as you do it once, you're like, what is this? It's amazing.
I just remembered actually talking about the Barnsley game. Marcus Stewart went off injured, didn't he? He was our striker at the time. He went off injured. And do you remember who came on for him? I think it was his debut. He was only like 15, 16. I think 16 maybe?
Wasn't Delroy Facey, was it?
Delroy Facey, yeah. Big Delroy Facey came on. And I remember it because from that moment forward, Mum was never been that interested in football, but as she wasn't very well at this kind of point in her life, and she normally was shopping, but when she came to Huddersfield, she would come to the games with us for the last few times and knew nothing about football, total innocence. And every time she went to a game and Delroy Facey was playing, she thought he was called Pacey. So from nowhere, you just hear this woman's voice, quite softly spoken, being like, "Come on, Pacey. Come on, Pacey."
And he was quite quick, to be fair, so.
He was. And I just remember loving it. I was thinking, that's brilliant. Like, that's such a nice memory. Like, everyone else is like, swearing and, Pacey and all this, and then just be like, "Come on, Pacey. Come on, Pacey." I remember that clear as day. Absolutely delighted to announce that we've linked up with a charity that are going to be our chosen charity and that we will support throughout the year and the rest of the season and maybe beyond as well. They're an amazing charity called Make Seconds Count, and they're a charity which specialise in researching secondary breast cancer and trying to kind of get more funding to research into it, as well as providing support for women out there that are suffering from it and families as well. So it's a charity which is very close to our hearts. Obviously, me and Tom are brothers, and we lost our mum to secondary breast cancer. So it's something that's very, very important to us, and we are going to raise some money for them. Hopefully, once we get out of lockdown, we might be able to do a bit more. Might even go and do some 5Ks, maybe, Tom. Maybe do some 10Ks, because we've been doing lots of running recently.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, mate. That sounds good. The
joys of lockdown is actually one thing is getting fit. In the meantime, we can't do too much, obviously, but one thing we are going to start doing is we're going to do a weekly charity bet as part of our podcast, where we will pick between 3 and 4 teams. We might get our guests involved now and again. Sometimes it'll just be me and Tom picking a couple of teams each. We'll stick a tenner on it of our own hard-earned money, and hopefully we will win a few. And when we do win, every penny that we win will go straight to the charity to help them with the amazing work that they're doing.
Quality. So who have you gone for your first 2 picks then, Scott?
Yeah, I've gone for a team in the Czech league called Sigma Olomouc.
Know them well. Good side.
Yeah, I know. I think they're least just back as well. So who knows what shape everyone's in, but the odds are all right. And yeah, well, what was your team? You go for one as well. What was your first team?
I've gone for probably going to pronounce this wrong, but Cracovia, which I think is also the name of the made-up place that Tom Hanks is from on the film The Terminal. It definitely is called Cracovia, but this is spelled Cracovia in the Polish top flight.
And is Tom Hanks up front?
If he gets his flight, yeah.
Hey! Brilliant. So, and then my second choice is we'll go a bit more routine, as I'm going to go for Borussia Mönchengladbach to win on the Sunday in the Bundesliga.
So I'm going to go for my second pick is going to be FC Seoul in the South Korean top flight. Good side.
Good stuff. So we'll put a tenner on those four. We'll share it on our channels, social media. We'll let you know what the odds are. Please follow it as well. Hopefully follow the games at the weekend, and fingers crossed we'll get a result, and we'll make some money for an amazing cause.
Fingers crossed. So Scott, that's another podcast concluded. Amazing guests again, and had a great night.
Yeah, that was class. Went really, really good. I can't believe we're racking up all the episodes already. It's been really good. All right, mate. Well, and listeners, thanks very much. We'll see you all next time. And remember, it's a game of two halves.
It's a game of two halves. Sure is. Thank you for listening to another episode of Well Done, Michael. He's 13. As always, please make sure you subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating if you absolutely love it, and follow our social media channels. If you have any questions or stories that you want shared on air, then drop us a message, and we'll see you next time.